Hello, welcome to our Anti-Violence Symposium, brought to you by the 100 Black Men of Atlanta in cooperation with the Satcher Health Institute and Morehouse School of Medicine and the King Center. We have assembled experts in science, public health, and the community to address conflict resolution and gun violence. Our objective for the symposium are to present research data to show that gun violence is a public health issue, call for a national designation of gun violence as a public health crisis, and create a database of existing violence prevention organizations and make the database available to the public. We want to thank our committee members, including our co-chairs, Larry Johnson and Angela Kessler, as well as Richard Byrd and Joshua Byrd for their dedicated service to this project. We also thank Georgia Power for their generous sponsorship. Your continued support of our programs and our community is greatly appreciated. For more information or to contact your elected officials to encourage them to support this initiative, click the links in our description below. This presentation was brought to you in part by the 100 Black Men of Atlanta, our members and community partners. None of this would happen without your generosity, service, and support. We want to send a special shout out to Dr. George French and the staff at Clark Atlanta University for hosting us. We look forward to your feedback in the comments below. And remember, please share this content with your family, friends, community organizations, and legislators. Once again, thank you for watching.
Good afternoon. My name is Luis Enrique Negron. I'm the Executive Director and CEO of the 100 Black Men of Atlanta. Thank you for coming out today. I'm here on behalf of representing the board. Chairman Miller could not be here, but I'm here as well as a couple of board members. If the board members could just raise their hands and say hello. Just want to acknowledge our board members here today. Thank you. If we have any other elected officials that we may have missed, if you could just stand up, and we'd just like to just thank you for being here with us today. We're very excited to have partnered with Morehouse School of Medicine, the Thatcher Institute, Clark Atlanta University, AIU, and everyone that's come out here today to support the anti-violence campaign that we have launched. Just to let you know that this campaign actually launched many years ago here in the Atlanta chapter. My brother, at that time, Chairman Curly Dawson, I think he just left, and Richard Byrd, in the early 90s, launched the Billboard campaign dealing with anti-violence that was set out on billboards around the Metro Atlanta area. And I wanted to say thank you to those gentlemen and part of the committee. I think they're seated over here. If they could just raise their hand, the rest of the brothers that are there. I see Chubb, I see you guys, just raise your hand. Those individuals came back to us and said it's important that we reactivate this committee because they started to see the trend that was happening not only in the Metro Atlanta area, but beyond that. And of course, it's affecting Black and brown people and all of us young men, especially in our community. So thank you for your advice to come on back. Also, just want to let you know that if there's anything that you need or want to partner with us, we're more than happy to explore those ideas. We have our Collegiate 100 that is centered here in the AUC. We have Fred Parham. I don't know if he's still here. Fred Parham, are you here?
No.
Okay, he left. Fred Parham is a PhD student that is here at CAU. He is also a director of outreach for us at the 100, and he is centered here at Clark Atlanta. And we have our chapters at Morehouse, Spelman, Orville, Georgia State. The Southeast chapter of the 100 is the one that sponsors the one here at Clark Atlanta. So we're all working together collaboratively to support the young people here in the Atlanta University Center. Just want to say thank you to those students that have come out today to support us. If we could begin today, I'd like to introduce to you Mr. Joshua Byrd. Brother Byrd is a native of Atlanta. He was also in the U.S. Marine. He's a U.S. Marine Corps veteran with more than 20 years combined experience as a criminal justice professional. You've actually seen Brother Byrd coming up and down from here, but he's the founder of Teach Us Justice, and he's vice president of Hawk Protection Group, a private security group, and a former business consultant of two Fortune 500 companies. But beyond all that, I'd just like to say that Brother Byrd is a man of true heart who really exemplifies de-escalation in our city and with our students. I've had the esteemed pleasure of going with him to Ivy Prep and some of our other schools, where I've seen the behind the scene things that this young man does, and where the passion that he has when he's speaking to the students one-on-one or as a group. Those are the accolades I like to see and say thank you to Brother Byrd as he comes on up, because you may read about it or see things that you may hear about, but the work that he is doing in the community goes beyond any measure that we can say, and I'm grateful for you, brother. Thank you.
Hey, thanks again, everybody. Thank you, Executive Director Luis Negron. I don't want to say anything else about me. I know we're running a little short on time. What I'd like to do, to the extent that you're unfamiliar with me, my work, the work of the 100 Black Men of Atlanta and our anti-gun violence committee initiatives, there is a quick video clip we'll play. That'll sort of be your introduction to me, after which all of the panelists will come up to the stage. And I'd just like to say that one other elected official who's here outside of Congresswoman Lucy Fab is my very best friend since 7th grade. And we decided that when we grew up, we were gonna do what we're doing right now. And so I'm proud of both of us. But he's a Solicitor General down in Clayton County. And that's my best friend, Charles Brooke. If you can stand again, Charles. And so you can play the video. We'll get started. As soon as the video's done, panelists, if you can go ahead and start making your way up to the stage, as well as the moderator. All the students who are here, you have your cues as well.
Not limited to school buildings, not limited to classrooms. It's also hit churches and terrorized city streets in this country. The spike in violence has taken a toll as well. The CDC says guns are now America's leading cause of death for children. In tonight's Eye on America, CBS's Mark Strassman highlights an Atlanta program now trying to teach a life-saving lesson.
America's scourge, Atlanta's tragedy.
Everything just seemed normal, and then he just busted out his strap and started shooting.
A burst of alarming gun violence.
Gun violence is out of control, and we're going to put an end to it here in Atlanta.
66 shooting deaths here so far, 56 of them black males.
It's become acceptable to use violence. It's become acceptable for these knee-jerk reactions with violence. It's something that's so small, but people still react violently.
Joshua Bird's pilot program in Atlanta schools focuses on black teens, overwhelmingly victims of gun culture.
Some kids are just lost. Like they don't know nothing else at all. They're just lost.
And is there any chance of reaching those kids?
It's a slim chance.
Across America, black males ages 15 to 34, 2% of the population, 38% of gun violence fatalities in 2020. 20 times more likely to die from a gunshot than their white peers, which makes 6th grader DeMonte Weems nervous.
You see people with guns and stuff walking around thinking that they're the stuff because they have a weapon.
Alarmingly, gun homicides nationally jumped 35% in 2020. Bird, a former Marine and cop, volunteers with the 100 Black Men of Atlanta.
Winning a fight might mean losing your life, right?
He saw his first shooting when he was 7. Over 10 two-hour sessions, Bird teaches de-escalation.
What we want to do is prevent the conflict and then go to the experts.
Walk away and live.
It's got to be a community-wide effort.
How do you punch through?
They're looking for structure and they're looking for consistency.
And they need both quickly in a city where indiscriminate gun killings now wound its sense of self. For Eye on America, I'm Mark Strassman in Atlanta.
Academic.
So that's a little bit about our program and what we're doing. At this moment, I would like to still recognize another elected official who I understand was in the building but was not quite visible. If you could please stand down and let us know who you are. There was another elected official in the room.
You.
I'm the district attorney from Cobb County,
Okay, thank you, sir.
Flynn Brody.
My apologies. Thank you for attending.
Yep.
At this moment, can all the panelists please come up? All right, get the party started, right? I have the pleasure to introduce one of our sponsoring partners from the King Center, Mr. Cameron Friend. He's a speaker, creator, and co-host of the Rethink podcast from Denver, Colorado. He is also the content and social media creator and manager for the King Center. Mr. Cameron, again, will be the moderator for this particular panel, and I'll let you all take it away.
Good afternoon, everyone. It's been a fabulous day so far, and we are heading to our next panel, and this is going to be an incredible discussion with some incredible leaders who are doing significant work around this. And again, we just want to thank Clark Atlanta University for even hosting this event. Thank all of the partners that have made this possible, and thank you all, each one of you, for the work that you are doing and the way you are contributing to how we solve the issue of violence, not just in our city, but in our nation as well. This is going to be an incredibly powerful discussion, and we want to go ahead and get straight to it. So part our panelists, and please raise your hand when I introduce you. The first panelist we have is going to be Arthur Art Powell, and he is over gang intervention, incredible messenger, U.S. Attorney's Office for Northern District of Georgia, and Project Safe Neighborhoods CEO of Egress Consultants. And then next, we have Dewan Young Drove Hall, recording artist and community advocate as well. Next, we have Michael Cleary, MD, Deputy Director of Atlanta Office of Violence Reduction, City of Atlanta, Mayor's Office of Violence Reduction, Professor at Emory's University School of Medicine, Physician at Grady Health System. Next, we have Shar Bates, BET personality, president, Breaking the Chain, CEO of Modlo is Hip Hop. And then we also have Sierra L, PhD, MCC, mental and behavioral health life coach. And then finally as well, we have Sierra Fly Bobo, nonviolence NV365 trainer of the King Center. We also have some student participants as well. We would have one who's directly to my right, and we have another who will be speaking at the end of the panel as well. So we will have a host of questions, and you'll get an opportunity to know who these people are and the work that they do as well. So what I want to do is I want to start with you, Sierra, and we will work our way over. But the first question is, can you tell us a little bit about who you are and how did you even get invested in the work that you are doing today?
Good afternoon, everyone. Really excited to be here on behalf of our CEO, Bernice King. Dr. Bernice King, it's such an honor to be here on behalf of the King Center. But really the work, honestly, I grew up, I'm a native Atlanta. I was born in a hospital that no longer is called that, Crawford Long Hospital. But growing up here, I'm an 80s baby, and my mom had me when she was 16 years old, and unfortunately my dad, who's from Southwest Atlanta, got involved in the crack epidemic. And so growing up, I saw a lot of violence. So I saw my parents fight. Domestic violence was in my household. When I was 16 years old, I then became very violent. I grew up in, the suburb of College Park, to be exact. And so I began, to become violent. And at 16, I ended up getting arrested for busting somebody in the head with a gun. And at that moment of being in jail, I knew that I didn't want to continue the cycle of violence. And unfortunately, in my neighborhood where we were from, violence is how you reconcile conflict. If a conflict, somebody disrespects you, you handle it by disrespecting them back, and you want to make sure that you're the last one standing. And so even knowing, coming from a mom that would fight and a dad that would fight, I thought that's just the way it was. And so it wasn't until later on in life when I got introduced to what real agape love was, and then got introduced to the King Center in 2011, it completely changed how I approach conflict, how I manage conflict, and how I ultimately reconcile conflict. And so this is amazing work that I've been through, a transformation I've been through. Shout out to our CEO for being patient with me, because when I first came, I was extremely raw. and you know, a little rough around the edges, but she was patient with me and she worked with me and she taught me Dr. King's philosophy of nonviolence, and it transformed my life. And so now I'm so honored to be a certified trainer and, you know, pay it forward and teaching the next generation the same philosophy that's helping me to now adopt the lifestyle of nonviolence.
Wow. Thank you, Sarah. Next is Char Bates. Can you tell us a little bit about yourself and how you got involved in the work that you're doing today?
So I'm from Flint, Michigan, and I grew up in a house where I was experiencing a lot of abuse, and I come from that family where I actually did have a two-parent household, but I was living in a pretty hell. You know, we had all the cars and stuff, but inside of that house was a lot of trauma and abuse, and I'm the first of 6 generations to not have a child in high school, down to my niece having a baby at the age of 13. So I broke that curse. And so as I got older, I just wanted to be the person that I needed when I was a youth, because, you know, I'm an 80s baby, but my parents were baby boomers, and they're from the sweep it under the rug generation. And I'm very much so all about breaking the chains and breaking those curses. And I started my nonprofit in 2011, and I've been speaking to kids, and I have done a lot of work on police brutality. But in these last few years, I just noticed how much, it seemed like every year, the violence and the killings amongst the youth was doubling, tripling. And so I started a community coalition to break the chains of hip hop and the current death culture that we have amongst our communities. And I think it's very important to focus on the youth and adults, but we have to break these cycles. So this is what I wake up and do every single day.
Great afternoon, everyone. My name is Art Powell, former gang leader. I served 11.5 years in the Georgia State Police System from October 1993 to April 2005. I've currently been out 18 years. I've been doing this work 17 years. My last 4 years of incarceration, all I've seen was an influx of young black men coming in the system at 7, 18, and 19 years old, and I was in my mid-30s doing time with babies. So one of my redemption when I was released to get out and make a difference, to tell young people the truth about being involved in criminal activity and consequences that come with it. So currently, I'm working with United States Attorney's Office as a contractor. I've also recently been given a position as the program director for True Violence Model in Zone 1, West Side. So I got some training and all that kind of stuff. It's about community violence intervention, and it's a public health issue, and we want to keep it safe. So that's what I'm about: safety, educating young people and adults about the mentality.
And before you go, Mr. Fair, we believe we have a video to show first. We have a video to show.
Summer Violence Intervention Program is back for a second year. Youth mentors and multiple agencies are teaming back up for the Project Safe Neighborhoods Initiative, intervening to get kids back on the right path. CW69's Valencia Jones reports.
These youth at the Yet Promise Center are enrolled in the second annual Credible Messenger Youth Summer Violence Intervention, part of the Project Safe Neighborhoods Initiative and a partnership between multiple agencies and the Southeast Credible Messengers.
I'm tired of mainly looking at young men that are your age on autopsy tables. I'm also tired of locking y'all up.
They launched the program last year, expanding it from 20 youth to 32 so far this year. 17-year-old Nicholas McDowell is one of the success stories after serving time for aggravated assault and other charges.
When they told me that I had mentors and all that, and do all that, I was happy because I never had that before, and I had somebody to support me.
It's his second year in the program.
I had to figure out that I had to get myself together and change my life.
Mentor and former gang leader Art Powell knows all too well how crime and gang life come with consequences.
Either they're going to prison or they're going to die. I was one of those children. You know, I got in trouble at the age of 15 and eventually went to prison and served 11 and a half years. Got out, wanted to do something different and mentor and try to help young people avoid, making the mistakes I made in my life.
These credible messengers here at the At Promise Center are letting these youth know there is the promise of a bright future when you make the right choices.
I try to encourage them through life skills and character development, give them the understanding the importance of character.
That's the whole goal here, to make sure that we create partnerships like this to keep kids from coming into our custody and care.
Willis says the program had a nearly 90% success rate last year, with youth getting jobs or furthering their education.
What we want to drive is the opportunity, we want to drive the engagement, and hopefully drive the success of the people who participate in this program.
Mentors work with the youth year-round, giving them renewed hope and another chance at life. In Atlanta, Valencia Jones, CW 69 News.
Wow, that's incredible. Michael, please tell us a little about yourself and how you got involved in the work.
So I'm Michael Clary, I'm an ER physician working at Grady. I'm originally from Michigan as well, from a small rural town. And then when I was at the University of Michigan for med school, I spent weekends as a research assistant in Flint. So I went up to Hurley Hospital and interviewed folks on the night shift who came in for a violent injury. And that really opened my eyes, and I began to understand a little bit more about how not random violence is, and how often there is a series of very rational events that lead to ultimately violence and death. And so that got me involved. I continued to work in some of the research capacity, but then did a policy degree to try and understand how we take knowledge that we know from the research and actually apply it in our local policy infrastructure. And then came down for the job at Grady and been continuing to try and move that work from the research side to the implementation side and understand how we can all kind of build our community safer.
Thank you. Well, tell us about yourself and how you got involved in the work as well.
Hi guys. They call me Young Joe, PKA, professionally known as. I'm a rapper from Atlanta, Georgia. I've been rapping, my first album came out about 15 years ago. I started a nonprofit called It Still Takes a Village. It's kind of like an extension from It Takes a Village. And it's also an intervention tour, for teens and, parents that has lost children. And I feel like I got into this because I was a victim of gun violence at the age of 15. Also, my mom was a victim of gun violence. She had been shot like 5 times when I was young. And I feel like, and it's also a Guns Down, Drugs Out intervention tour. And I feel like I'm very much so a part of that because I'm celebrating 20 months of sobriety myself. So I feel like I should. Thank you. I feel like I should be a part of these kids' life and be able to tell them the do's and the don'ts, especially coming from a hip hop standpoint. And we also have a mentoring program called RARE that I want to be available for my young men and also the young women that me and Sierra started. The mentoring program, which she does the girls and I got the boys, and it's called RARE and it's called Real Acknowledge Real Everywhere. And yeah, that's it.
Sierra, please tell us about yourself and about how you got involved with work as well.
Hi everyone, my name is Sierra Anderson. I actually worked in social services for 20 years with the Department of Family and Children's Services here in Atlanta. I'm originally I was born in Haiti. We moved to Chicago. I came to Atlanta to move away from the violence. For some reason in Chicago, everyone would say, let's go to Atlanta, because it's safer. So the last couple of years, it hasn't been that. It has not been safe. And it's scary. And I approached Dro with the notion. First, for him, we would have the conversation about his peers were constantly being victims of gun violence, or his peers were overdosing. And then it hit my doorstep. And when it hit my doorstep, it became bigger, you know, for me. And to be around where I grew up on Campbellton Road, and in that area, it's a disadvantage. And the disadvantage is we don't have a lot of help. We don't have a lot of, we didn't have a lot of help. We didn't have a lot of resources. And a lot of kids that was there, you don't go get those kids and say, hey, let me teach you something and show you something different. So with his background, with my background, and with me being involved in children's lives for this long, I felt like the best thing for us to do was try to come up with a program. And then we came up with It Still Takes a Village. When I grew up, my neighbor could whoop me. My neighbor could come pull me over from whatever I was doing, and they'll take me to my mom and tell my mom, Sierra just did this, and they'll get on us, right? They don't do that today. They don't challenge the youth the way that they used to. And so It Still Takes a Village, I feel like needed to be rebirthed in a sense. In addition to the mentoring program. The mentoring program is it's because it's what we need. We need big brothers, we need big sisters, we need mother figures, we need father figures. We need all of those things to be able to wrap our arms around these children and teach them something different. So that's how we came together with It Still Takes a Village and the RARE program.
Well, thank you. And we also have 2 student speakers. So the first student speaker, that's to the far right, can you also tell us a little bit about yourself and why this is an important issue to you, and then even why do you think this is an important issue for your generation?
My name is Markel Massey. I attend Frederick Douglass High School. I feel like violence is an important issue because a lot of our youth is dying for no reason. And I feel like that violence shouldn't be a main issue in today's world, but it is because of the gun laws and how students and other people are attaining the guns and what they use them for.
Yeah, thank you for that. Yeah, please share with us.
Good afternoon. My name is Toledo Gilmore. I'm a proud 10th grade scholar at Fulton Leadership Academy and also an Incite Hope, Not Violence Peace Ambassador for Fulton Leadership Academy. So it's very special to be here with you all today learning about this issue and topic. So I want to start off by saying I grew up in a house where we didn't play with toy guns, gun games. My mom's really strict about that. My grandma really strict about that because my family has lost so much from gun violence. And I really had no idea until I was 8, 9. I lost an uncle named Ted. My Uncle Ted, I love my Uncle Ted. He was shot outside of state while visiting friends. And not grasping that at a younger age really made me realize and pick up how dangerous guns were and how much that could hurt a person and how much it could hurt a community. And growing up the way I did, learning all that at the time had made me very aware and self-conscious about how the environment around me was changing even when I was young. And it made me watch the things I do, things I say to people I hang around. And I've gotten older and I realized that it's happening with people my age. People my age are getting angry, going out to grab a gun because they think it's cool, they think it's okay, and they think that's the thing that they have to do to look a certain way. And that scares me even more. To know someone my age could be killed for no reason just because you looked at me the wrong way or you said something wrong to me. And I think it's because most of us are scared, but then again, you're scared by someone. You're scared, so if you get a gun, you're trying to protect yourself from someone with a gun. So you're basically scared of something that scares you. You become what you fear by going to grab a gun. And then that brings me to my second point. I wanted to say that people get so scared that you're going to get a gun to fight off someone who already has a gun. It's like, it doesn't make sense. I don't get how that correlates. Then you get a community where a bunch of scared people with guns, which does not impact the society that I live in today great at all. which brings me to say, guns don't cause violence, people with guns cause violence. So, thank you.
Amen, brother.
And we have an amazing host of panelists here, and what you can see and what you can hear, that this is intergenerational. This is intergenerational trauma, and we've all been affected some way, shape, or form by gun violence. And I think to all of your points that you've already shared, we can choose how we respond to those things. And you all have lifted up the call and said that I want to respond differently in a way that is either nonviolent, or I want to bring justice into the world by talking about these things and creating opportunities for people to get healing in these areas. And so I want to ask a question, and I'm going to open it up for everyone. By the way, we're going to be in this section until about 3:30, but after that, we're going to open it up for audience questions as well. So if you have a question that you would like to have asked, please feel free. But then we will have a microphone that will be on the side for you as well. I also have additional questions in case we want to do it that way. But I'm going to open up this question for you all. It's obvious that violence has been an issue, in particular gun violence. And you kind of have dived a little bit into it, but can you even give your own explanation for why, as you mentioned, why violence is such a big issue and why fear is such a big issue for so many people when talking about gun violence? And for you, what is at the core for why people are utilizing weapons the way that they are?
Okay, guess my mic isn't working. Okay, so I think that we have to look at the fact that America is violent. America was built on violence. We keep on, I feel like we keep skipping over this and we want to say, oh no, it's just that, it's just that. No, it's not just gun violence. It's not just gang violence. You also have police brutality. You also have mass shootings. We're watching wars all the time. We have video games where you're basically doing target practice. On top of that, you know, that's how we've been taught to respond, like in every single way. That's all we see. That's why people are so numb to it. At our core, like she said, that's almost the answer to everything in so many different situations has been violence, you know, and it goes beyond the gun violence, you know, because we got some people, you know, that are being killed with knives, with all types of, it's weapons being created. Even the toys, I don't know if y'all have seen it, but I've seen toy guns that have beams on them. Who's creating these? How are these even allowed to be on our toy shelves? You know, and so at the end of the day, I think that it has been made to be the response. And I think that because we see so much death, that, you know, that has become the answer, just to get rid of people. And it's no conflict resolution. You know, you have to be the victor. And I don't think that people think about it's 2 for 1 when these things happen. You're losing a life to death and you're losing a life to jail. And we look over that.
I think is the fear is in with most young guys. I think the fear is in embarrassment when they're having a confrontation with another person. You know, it's a lot of phones out these days, and you know, once it's started, everybody goes up, and the fact that he can be embarrassed socially, he would rather pull out a gun and look a certain way. You know, and you know, it's bad, but he'll rather look. He feels glorious with the gun and saying, "Oh, I shot him." You feel me? Other than getting stomped out on camera. You know, it's a lot of phones out right now. They'll world star you. You feel me? Or whatever the network is. And I think that out of that fear alone drives a kid to damage his life and another person's life. And I also think that a lot of action comes from jealousy, you know, money-wise, you know, the areas that they live in. It makes them, violence is just so available. You know what I mean? A person might just be jealous of the kind of jacket that he's rocking, or the kind of shoes that he has on, or if he has a nicer looking girlfriend. I think that the fear comes from looking bad and actually, you know, they call it looking lame, but they'll rather look like a killer than to look lame.
I would also, to piggyback off what Dro just said, Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., he talks about there's triple evils. And the triple evils are poverty, racism or isms, and militarism, or what we say is violence. But one thing I've realized that we don't really focus on, and Dro kind of just brought that up, is lacking things, poverty. When I was even looking at the map that you had on the screen, a lot of the areas where, of course, the high violence is also a lot of the areas where there's lack. And so we can't, and the triple evils, they all coincide, you know what I mean? And so, and even our founder, Mrs. Coretta Scott King, she talks about there's so many forms of violence that we just kind of don't want to talk about, to your point, that leads to other violence. Like she talked about how ghetto housing is violence, you know, not having the proper health care is violence. And so when you think about all the things that people are dealing with emotionally, what impact that has on them, and then you kind of want to expect them to go to school. Like even the fact that she grew up in a house with abuse, I grew up in a house with abuse, that had a major impact on me. And now you want to send me to school and you think that I'm going to respond to a girl talking about me without using the same form of abuse that I see in my household. So that's why I really love the King Center's philosophy of nonviolence, which we call NV 365, is because it taught me how to change the way I think and how to renew my mind, and how to also understand that we are all a part of one human race. And when I began to like basically take away your humanity, it's easy for me to pull a trigger on you. But when I realize that you're a human being, it's hard. You know, it pulls on my morality. And so really that's why I subscribe to this philosophy, because it did an inside out work. And it makes me pay attention to not saying, hey, young lady, put the gun down. Hey, young man, put the gun down. How about, hey, are you hungry today? You know, so meeting a need, because sometimes people won't change until they know you care. And they're not going to listen to you until they know you care. And so sometimes we got to figure out what these needs are if we really want to stop the violence.
Well,
I'll say this, I'm in my 50s. So I'm gonna go to the root. Nobody wants to be a victim. Nobody wants to be a victim. Let's have this conversation first. Nobody wants to be a victim. So when I look back, when I was a teenager in the 80s, when the crack era kicked in, I went to a school called Harper High. I'm gonna be quick about this. So there was a set of projects, Bankhead Court, that pretty much terrorized our high school, right? So me and the guys I went to school with from different sets of apartments from Allenville and Martin Luther King, we came together collectively to fight off these people that were terrorizing us, right? And so as our confidence grew, we started going to different parts of the city and having confrontations. We also had confrontations with our football team. So there's always been this cliquish, gangish mentality where people would jump at people or take something from people, do something. Crack changed the whole dynamics of our people, because those regular fights turned into gunfights. So every neighborhood, every group, every clique of people start getting guns, and that when they felt that was a disprotection. And so it's really no different now than it was then. The only difference is cell phones. They post everything. Violence has always been a part of our community. Let's have a conversation. The only thing now is that they've made it a public health issue to where it's something that needs to be addressed.
All right, you bring up a really interesting point, and even to what Sierra talked about earlier, the connectivity between poverty and violence and gun violence and the needs within the communities that lead to these things. So that's an excellent point. Anyone else want to contribute to this question as well? And students, please feel free to answer this. You know, why do you think even this for you, why do you think this fear exists in your own generation amongst other kids as well.
First off, I want to thank Ms. Bates. Your story and your personal upbringing, it really resonated with me. The childhood trauma you've endured, and to see where you on this stage right now, it's kind of admiring to see. And I first wanted to begin my remarks off with that. Okay. But gun violence, as a teenager in our community, it has affected us in so many ways. That fear of like going out to a public place and like fearing, oh, I'm gonna get shot here, or oh man, this might be the last time I have to text my family that I love them. Like that fear, that gun violence, this is unacceptable. This is beyond, I don't even have words for it, for the emotions that I'm feeling right now. This violence, this epidemic of gun violence has to end. This thing, it has become so normalized. It is like so normal for us to see mass shootings on the news, or your friend turns up dead the next day and you like just talk to him the next day till it. Is that not right? It's like, it just, I know, I just trying to find the right words for it. It deeply upsets me. The trauma we've endured as Black people for over a century and more is disgusting. It's like, I'm gonna go back. Growing up, right, my brother Kamari, he had a best friend. His name was Jelani. Jelani, he was always there for Kamari. That was his number one guy. And Jelani's dead. He died in 2018 or 2017. I can't remember the exact date. But I remember when I found out when Jelani was dead, I couldn't even begin to think what my brother was feeling, Kamari. Like, losing your best friend at such a young age. Kamari was about, what, 11th grade? I'm in 10th grade. I couldn't even begin to imagine losing one of my brothers that I've known since, I don't know, I was yee-high. And like that, when he lost his best friend, that affected me of the way that he felt. My brother, he's like, when he walks into a room, he can control the whole environment. And based on how he feels, that would determine how the room felt. And when his best friend died, I knew something that changed in him. He'd never be the same almost grown man that he was, I don't know, the day before he died. And I could recognize, I can sense the alterations of how he felt. It was just a whole different Kamari from the one I knew before Jelani died. And that just really upsets me, because I could never imagine losing one of my best friends, and that's my brother. And I would do anything for him. Thank you.
You know, I think what this communicates for all of us is that, you know, sometimes when we do events like this, you know, this is a symposium, and you know, we go to school, we attend classes, we have church meetings, mosques, whatever it may be. We talk about things and they feel abstract. They feel like concepts. You know, we talk about theories of how gun violence affects us, but you hear stories like that, and you see how personal it is. That it is unacceptable that every single one of us are connected to someone who has been murdered or know of someone who's been murdered due to gun violence. And so that was an exceptional testimony. We appreciate your bravery and your courage that you displayed in sharing your story, and to all of the young people who are up here, who have shared their part of the story. All that is necessary, because that is why we are here and doing the work that we're doing today. But the question I wanna open up with next is, and even for you, especially Michael, as we're talking about policies and resources, are there resources and are there policies that are available and that we're tapping into? And as well as anybody up here on the panel, are there things that we can tap into that help in our own communities to solve some of these issues when it comes to gun violence in a very immediate and effectual way? Is there anything that you know of in your own personal experience with that?
Thanks. I think one thing to acknowledge is that there's been a shift recently, and I think that we may be able to appreciate that as we look around and see that there are offices of violence prevention that are popping up, not just in Atlanta, but across the country. With the ARP money, the federal money that was made available, there was some of that that was specifically targeted towards community-based violence prevention programs. So that's like funding models like Cure Violence that are embedded within a specific geospatial area, like a community and neighborhood that experiences high levels of violence, in which there are folks from that neighborhood who are invested in reducing the likelihood that disputes rise to violence, rise to death. So there's a palpable difference, but the really big piece to, I think, put on all of our radars is that that was a tranche of money that we now need to figure out a way to sustain if we want to take these new innovations and interventions and access to, probably for the first time, I think, in our like public health world, but likely also in the communities in which we're working. It is acknowledged that violence is a public health issue in which we should not be growing, which we should not be moving through our days. And so the challenge, I think, is going to be making sure that that priority and that acknowledgement of trauma that folks experience and is currently being addressed continues to be addressed and continues to be valued at all levels of our government, from our city level, our state, and all the way up to the federal money that gets apportioned for our community development and our safety services, and envisioning how we can expand beyond typical law enforcement responses to actually build safe neighborhoods through these public health tools. That's the big picture view from a Atlanta City side. There are 2 new Cure Violence sites that are being invested in the zones 1 and 4. So you'll see in Vine City and along Campbellton Road in the next 2 months. They're hiring now these violence intervention specialists. And then there's a new hospital-based violence intervention program that is at Grady Hospital, where folks will go to the bedside of anyone 14 to 24, or 14 to 34 is our current recruitment age. But we'll go to the bedside and try and engage folks and make resources available. I think those are going to be kind of our great spaces to latch onto if you are looking for areas in which resources may be flowing or in which to invest yourself, because those will probably be great kind of footholds for building out the ecosystem that we really need to change this day-to-day kind of experience.
So I did mention earlier that, because these are resources, but it's a lot of people that are doing the work that a lot of people just don't know about. Not everybody is going to have a huge following, like someone like Dro, but it is a lot of community advocates that are waiting to help. It's a lot of resources that may come onto the news or be on, city websites that people just don't know about. This weekend, we're launching our community coalition to specifically focus on the West Side. Not that we don't service, the rest of Atlanta, but that is where the majority of these children that has been being killed for the past couple months are coming from. We're starting with the Teen Festival on Saturday. Sunday, we're doing canvassing in the community, and Monday we're doing a community cleanup. So it's a lot of organizations. Use Google, but also it's a website that I just found out about that is called findhelp.org. That's why I was on my phone. But findhelp.org, y'all, is amazing. You can actually go on there and you can put in your zip code, right? And you can look up for help with food, with housing, with jobs, with programs, dang near education, almost everything you can think of. You can go on there and just ask for it and look it up by your zip code. But I encourage everybody in the room to connect with more community leaders. It is a lot of people on the ground that want to help, and you just kind of got to find them. But it is a lot of people that want to help, and it cannot be enough advocates out there because there's too many people that are in need.
I just want to say, like I said, mentioned earlier, I've been doing this work 17 years, and most of the young people I've worked with and adults that I've worked with have either been documented gang members or they used a gun in the crime. With this opportunity that the City of Atlanta Mayor's Office is giving us from the federal funding that Dr. Cleary was speaking of, this gives us an opportunity to get ahead of these acts happening once we kind of identify or know who those high risk are. And us getting the facilities, we'll have a safe space for them to come to be able to work with them as far as teaching them life skills and character development, healing circles, how to mediate conflict. When it gets to that level where they got to resolve it using the gun, the flip side to it is we'll be able to help these families too that have need for housing or need for food and shelter. So I'm excited about this opportunity to be able to actually go in and canvass the neighborhoods, be able to see what the needs of these families are, and not have to deal with the young people or young person that's already been impacted by the businesses. So, and that's a beautiful thing I see happening with our city. A lot of times they don't talk about the things that the city is doing right now to try to make a change and make a difference in the violence that's going on in our city. But trust and believe, the mayor definitely has, that's number one on his agenda.
Okay, so what we have at our school, we're called peace ambassadors. What we'll do is we'll talk to students, have meetings, kind of a counseling group, and we try to stop violence before it can happen. So we have Mr. Jimmy, one of our senior ambassadors. He's one of the older men who you can just talk to, diffuse the situation before it can happen. And it's kind of like a really open environment where if you need to talk to someone, you can talk to them. If there's a conflict, it can be resolved before any type of gun violence comes to flow. Like, it just stops it before it can happen. And I really like that about our school. It's a very nice environment.
And then, by the way, after Sierra, Douglas students, so I know you all have to leave at 3:30. So if there are any last thoughts that you would like to add to this discussion, please feel free. But we'll let Sierra go real quick, and then if you have anything you want to say to end your time, please feel free to do that.
First of all, I love the name of Dro and Sierra's nonprofit. It still takes a village, because it really does. And in the last panel this morning, I heard someone say we need a curriculum. But the good thing about the King Center that most people don't know, they think we're just a historical site. Our number one thing that we actually do as staff and team members is we train people on Nonviolence 365 from corporate America. I've had the opportunity to go with our CEO to Ferguson right after Mike Brown. We went to Minnesota. We're on the ground more than people say, because it's not about the publicity for us, it's actually about doing the work. And a lot of people don't know what we're actually doing, but we, even in the summertime and even throughout the year right now, I know our director of the Beloved Community Leadership Academy is here, Ian, but we train young people every month, every week actually, on nonviolence. As well in the summer, we invite young people from all around the globe. We've trained people from Cyprus all the way to Indonesia. And right now we're training kids from Liberia. So as well as we always take care of ATL. So I'm saying that to say that we have a curriculum that has been proven to work all the way from the 50s to now. And so we have so many success stories. And like I said, from my personal transformation, I went from guns wasn't as accessible when I was a teenager. I had a razor in my mouth, but I went from carrying a razor in my mouth to understanding that if someone disrespects me now, I understand how to tap into Dr. King's philosophy. There are 6 principles, there are 6 steps. We talk about what type of conflict it is so you can know how to reconcile the conflict. We understand that we don't really look for a resolution as much as we're looking for a reconciliation where it's a win-win on both sides. To again, treat that other person, even your opponent, like a human being. Just changing the mindset. But I just wanted to put it out there. We have curriculum as well as online curriculum where you don't even have to come to our facility to be trained. You could go online and go through a self-guided. It's already created. It's already there. And so please visit thekingcenter.org. But right now we are training hundreds of thousands of people, but all the time. And people just don't know it. Corporations calls us. The NFL calls us. Like, we're training more than people know. And so please tap into that curriculum for young people. We train elementary all the way into your corporate executives. So just know that that resource is available for you, and we would love to train people on how to reconcile conflict a nonviolent way.
If I could just say one thing to the young men up here, I love y'all and the young lady. I love y'all and I see y'all, man. I just wanted to say that.
Any last words that you would like to add before you have to depart?
I would like to say that I feel like violence spreads over time because people don't know how to retaliate to violence. Like, if somebody's friend got shot, they would feel like instead of going to the police so they can let the police handle it, they go and grab a gun and try to handle it themselves, which would end up getting them deeper into the violence and getting them in trouble themselves. I feel like the violence spreads with fear as well, because when people are scared, their minds get clouded, and they feel like the only way for them to end that fear is to kill all the people that fear them.
Hello? My name is Caleb Mitchell. I think a way you can help out the communities is by showing them by giving them a guide, by showing them that there's somebody there to help them, so they won't be out in the streets and imitating the rappers and getting them. By giving them a guide, showing them that they actually have a path where they can go down and set it. You know. Yeah.
So we're transitioning to the audience. If you do have any questions that you would like to ask, please feel free as well. But while we're making this transition, bro, actually, you had a question that I want to ask you specifically, but also, again, the rest of you feel free to answer. In the last year and a half, 2 years, we have lost some of our musicians, from whether it be Takeoff, whether it be No Dog, PNB Rock. There's a host of people. And for you as a musician and someone who has been in that culture, do you feel as if the music at times is communicating a reality of violence when we talk about gun violence in music? Or do you feel as if music should have some social responsibility to educate our kids on staying out of gun violence and not entertaining gunplay or anything like that? Do you have any direct thoughts about that?
Of course, that's a good question. I think that hip hop has a positive influence and also a negative one also. And I believe that people should know the truth about what they're listening to. You know, some of the lyrics that you probably hear are fiction, just like Mickey Mouse is, and but on the flip side, you have me, like I would speak my truth. I would be talking about, what actually happened to me, like my mom got shot 5 times. That's my truth. I got shot at the age of 15. That's my truth. But I don't expect for one of these young guys to actually go and try to live my life. It was just me speaking my truth. And to answer the question even more, I do feel as if we have a duty to actually paint good pictures in hip hop. You know what I mean? Just as well as tell our truth. So when I do make music now, I do try to curb it to where, like, well, this kid might be listening to it in this kind of way, so let me put a message at the end of it. You know what I'm saying? But I don't want to hold back what's true about what I've seen and where I live at and what I saw. And sometimes I grab stories from people that's around me that's also true. So when I speak these truths, it's not so much as I want this to be somebody else's reality. I'm just telling you what I saw. So it has a positive and a negative.
I think everybody play a role. I think music play a role. I think TV play a role. I think when we step outside our doors, it play a role. I think the schools play a role. I think that video games play a role. I think that Walmart play a role. I think everybody plays a role. By show of hands, how many people have seen the Link on Me movie? Okay, so this is my favorite movie, but I use this as an example as to how important what I think we need to do. Kanisha was outside of the office crying one day on the sofa before the pregnancy mark, and Joe Clark was her previous elementary school teacher. I don't know if y'all have seen it, but I'm gonna try to get past. So she was outside of the office and she was crying. The principal walks up and he asks her what was wrong with her. Well, the connection between the principal and Kanisha was that he was her elementary school teacher or school principal also. So she felt comfortable with talking to him, although she hadn't seen him in years. He at the time is now her high school principal. And Kanisha was expressing to Mr. Clark that it was some issues going on. So what Mr. Clark did was he went inside the office, he told Mr. Bias, contact Kanisha's mom. We need to go talk to the mom. They get to the house. Mr. Bias and Joe Clark were sitting on the sofa and they said to the mom, they asked what was happening. Because the mom was an advocate of the child when she was in elementary school. And so they asked, what can we do to help? Can I put you in a better apartment? Can I help you get a better job? Because your child can't lose you. The child needs the parent, right? And for me, I think that that's the groundwork in everything, because we have to go to the parents' houses now. We need to be in their living rooms now, because it's not just the kids that need help. The parents need help too. The parent it's babies having babies. Some of these children that have kids now are still have a childlike mentality, or because of their environment, they just don't know how to parent. I can't parent your child. And no matter how many organizations that it is, we can't parent the child either. But what we can do is be the village. We can still be the village to provide the tools that the parents need, and that way that will help us a whole lot. We have to stop being on mute and sitting next door and like, oh girl, dang, look what Tasha and them did. What? Y'all understand what I'm saying? We have to be the people who can grab the mother and not shame the mother. You can grab the father and not shame the father for what the mother or the father don't know. And that way, for most kids, because they look up to the mother, they look up to the father, they can grab hold of that child also. And for some, to be honest with you, I didn't have that type of hope in my household. So I had to figure out what my hope was going to be. And this may sound cliche to some, but for me, this was my hope. I was born on January 15th. So was Joe. That's Martin Luther King Jr.'s birthday. So for me, my hope was I can make a difference. I held on to that hope. So if we can't reach the parents, we have to instill some hope in them. We gotta figure out where their hope is so they'll have something to grab onto and be able to carry that on their back so they can get through life. That's my take.
Finally, if you're in the audience, please remember to use the QR code. That way you can view the entire program. You have one of these sitting at your table. Please feel free to utilize this. And then from this, we will move into the audience questions. Do we have anyone that would like to ask a question to the panel? To the left of the stage. If not, I have plenty of note cards up here available as well.
Can y'all hear me now?
Yeah.
As well as a QR code to complete a survey about how you felt about the event. So it's the event as well as the QR code for the survey. And also, you all might have saw these cards. This is the de-escalation and conflict resolution that we teach. Everyone should have a card. I make sure the panelists, you all have one. Not only that, it's 4 steps that we use. And on the back of that, we've got a QR code to take you to mental health resources, suicide prevention resources, and that sort of thing. So that's what this card is all about. My question is geared towards the youth, because I did hear you all, Sierra and Joe and Shaw, when you all were down in the city of South Fulton, I believe, at that event, which was phenomenal. And I heard a youth stand up and say, we're not getting guns because we want them. We're afraid, that they have one, so we want to protect ourselves. And I wanted to ask the youth here on stage, like, what are you hearing at school? Why are some of your friends maybe resorting to hanging out with gangs or getting guns or doing violent things? Like what are people saying? Like, what are people saying about violence at school? Are they talking about stuff from social media? Like, what's the common thread, the common thing? What are you hearing? So that when you go home, your parents say, how was the day? You say, cool, but in the back of your mind, you're like, hey, somebody gonna fight somebody. Just walk us through your minds and what you're hearing about gun violence or violence generally in school.
I think most of that happens because they just want to be accepted, either accepted or loved or feel brought into some type of group, which is why I think they join gangs as well, because they may not have friends, or they may just want to be in this group where they feel love when it's not really love, they're just manipulated.
Okay.
My name is Gabe Berger. I'm a proud 6th grade scholar at Fulton Leadership Academy. And to answer that question is for protection. Like, some people join gangs for protection against other people, or like you said before, for protecting themselves because of fear. Some people want others to protect them so they don't have to get involved in the violence itself.
Right.
Okay, rebounding off what Mr. Gilmore's idea was about being accepted, I feel like, as children, we get like lost in this translation of who am I? What is my identity? All the people in this room, we've come to know our identity, our true selves. And I feel like with this hip hop music and the violence they entail in these stories, the songs, it can like gives them a sense of identity and be like, oh yeah, I want to be like that, or oh yeah, that's me. Because in reality, they don't know who they are. I sure didn't know who I was until my adolescence came around. So yeah.
What I hear around school is that I hear casual talk about violence, guns, and I don't see anybody give a second thought to like, why? Why am I talking about this so casually? Why can I say a lyric of a song talking about killing somebody, talking about someone's family, mourning a loved one, and it's just casual talk, a lot of casual talk about these derogatory things. That's what I hear.
That's a great answer.
What I feel that it is the music that most of the students, mostly in America, what they listen to. There's a lot of things talking about smoking, shooting, gangs, and that really has an impact on the children because that makes them think that, oh, that's what I want to be. Because they think that they might be cool, or it makes them feel like they're bigger than others, but it's really not. So they think that having a gun, oh, you're gonna be protected with a gun. But when you're protected with a gun, you're putting everybody else's life at risk. Because if someone has a gun and you get one as protection, then you'll become the threat.
Well,
I gotta say this, okay? We gotta have a real conversation. And I'm piggybacking off something Shar said earlier. We can't let rap music be the main code. Okay, let's have a real conversation. Everything we learn about what we see. Vision. I see more violence in commercials, sitcoms, movies, and video games, which most of our kids are impacted by before they even listen to a rap song. I would go back to Tom and Jerry. No, I'm serious now. Come on now. Yep. In Tom and Jerry, all we seen was Tom and Jerry fighting and hurt each other. What do you think that's going to do to a young person, a kid that's watching this? That's advocating violence. That's advocating violence. So as human beings, we copy and we mimic what we see. That's just who we are as human beings. So it kind of bothers me because don't get me wrong, I'm not a big fan of rap music. I listen to it sometimes. But I don't want that. We can't do it. We can't do it. Because before I even really started listening to rap music, guess what? You know where my motivation came from? Scarface. I want to be like Al Pacino. Then I seen Colors. Then I seen New Jack City. Then I seen Menace to Society. The visuals is what made me say, oh, you gonna get that gun. You understand what I'm saying? And so we gotta be honest when we have this conversation because and we can't put all the blame on parents either. Cause see, let's be real. When our children leave our presence, they turn into a whole different individual. Yeah, they gonna be respectful around their parents and do all this stuff. I work with parents. 2-parent households, both parents making over 6 figures. Middle class. Why they son trying to go over here in the neighborhood and be a gangbanger? They never vision. You understand what I'm saying? It's they see that lifestyle is being advocated and promoted by the media. And so we just can't say it's rap music. It's so many other things. Like Char said earlier, it's so many other factors that play a part in how our kids are looking at what they want to copy and be like and see. So if you're looking at the media and the commercial telling you to be a thug, be a gangster, then that's what you want to do. That's what she gonna do. So I mean, it's so many layers to this, and I just think rap is rap. Oh man, come on. It started way before rap music. We just gotta have those honest conversations and deal with those issues. I'm sorry, I'm gonna take over.
Can I put my therapy hat on for a minute? Yeah, let me dig a little deeper because on the surface, the children are saying, it's the rap music, or parents are saying, or whoever is saying that it's the lyrics, it's the rap music. What I see is, it is what they feel like they can accomplish and achieve from the lyrics. Meaning, they can have jewelry, they can have a car, a nice car, they can have a big house, they can have all the girls, they can have a lot of money. And so, that's the root of it. If kids identify with something that they want and they don't have it at home, or the parents don't have what they want, even if they just want the fan base, a lot of kids just want to be popular. And if you see a artist that's popular, they have nice cars, they have a nice house, they have all the girls, they have all the following on social media, and all of those things, then that's how we are attaching it's the rap music. You get what I'm saying? That's what we would go with that. And as it relates to the parent part, what I mean by that is do kids do things outside of the home? Absolutely. But are there some parents that's outside the home that can't train your child? It is. But we don't say nothing. That's what I mean. We don't say anything. A lot of people are scared to say something because you know why? If they say something, then the parent gonna come to the school and say, "Don't talk to my child like that," or "Don't do this," or "Don't do that," and it mutes some of us. So that's.
Thank you for that.
Can I just applaud your approach to go beyond that like initial response to what's the motivation behind it? I just think that's so brilliant, and it's also like something that we do see in terms of like interventions that work for youth. Is asking that question, like what is the underlying need or the desire you have, like motivational interviewing, cognitive behavioral therapy, those things that we see actually reducing risk for youth. He's doing that. It's saying like what do you want? How do you want to get there? And not just accepting that surface level sort of like analysis. So I really appreciate bringing all that out.
Yeah,
And I just
want to, and then we're going to have an audience question right after that. Go ahead.
I just want to add this in there about when it comes to music. I need everybody in this room to understand that hip hop started off as a creative expression of activism through different ways, through DJing, through dancing, through graffiti, through different things, and it was turned into gangster rap on purpose. And it was also used to fill and fuel the prison industrial complex. These are a lot of things that is not discussed, you know, like he was talking about with the movies. It's not by chance that Scarface and Menace to Society and all of these different things were coming out at the same time as more, you know, gangster rap was being pushed, and they didn't want the Public Enemies and the Talib Kweli's at the forefront. The record labels are told not to sign these types of artists. Record labels also have insurance policies on rap artists, you know, but the only person that gets hit with recalls are the artists. Nobody else is punished in this. And also, I need y'all to understand that music is the highest form of mind control. And it's not just hip hop music. You got songs, Highway to Hell, all type of things that talk about all type of violent things, but it's looked at differently. One thing that I practice with students is music wellness. Because music is so powerful. It's frequencies that you can get high off of. It's frequencies that can kill you. It's frequencies that can raise your vibrations. And so music can be used in so many different tools. So I hate to see hip hop bashed so much because it's a lot of terrible songs in all type of different genres, but it doesn't get the same stigma as hip hop because hip hop is the second most influential thing ever. The first thing is the internet. The number one thing is the internet. So just think about that. So it's just more at the forefront and more at the public, but it's other things. But let's make sure, like Joe said earlier, it's still a lot of positive things with music, period. And so it can be used in a lot of different ways.
And then we have 2 audience questions. We have a few minutes left, so if you could ask your questions, and then let's try to provide about 30 seconds to a minute worth of answers. That way we can get through both of these questions. Go ahead.
All right, it's a quick 2-part question for the adults and young people. One, you all have like nonprofits and organizations. Is there a particular organization or agency out there that you guys would like to partner with to help you in your initiatives? And for the young people, are there certain things you would like to see in the programs that come to you to offer you help? Is there anything that you actually want to get out of it that you're not getting out of it right now?
For Joe and I, we talk about this all the time. We want to partner with everybody who has a heart for the work. Some people don't have a heart for the work. Some people is in it for their own reason. We won't go. That's a different conversation. But yeah, we want to partner with as many people as possible because we can't do it alone. Everybody that's sitting on this stage cannot do it alone. And if all of us band together and try to do it, we cannot do it alone. We want to partner with the organizations that are willing to do the work because it's work. It's real work. Everything that's happening and that needs to be done is real work. So we want to partner with anybody that's open and willing and ready to do the work.
I would say this is the same on behalf of the King Center. We work with everybody. Y'all won't believe some of the people. Like I said, we just don't publicize everything because that's not the point. But there's no person that we're not willing to sit down and try to work together to bring us closer to the beloved community. Because as Sierra just said so eloquently, it's gonna take all of us. And so just know that if y'all want to ever partner with the King Center, Ms. Barbara Harrison's in the back. I don't know if you want to wave Ms. Barbara, but she's over partnerships with the King Center. And so, if y'all want to partner with us, we're definitely down to help us get closer to the beloved community because it's going to take all of us.
I created a community coalition of organizations because I know that this work is not possible by just a few people. And I'm still looking for organizations to partner with us. I'm looking for the uncles in the neighborhoods that are respected. I'm looking for the neighborhood dads, the neighborhood moms. I'm looking for the aunties and the OGs, that have, like people like you, that have the respect of the people. It's a lot of people that can do a whole lot more. They got the respect and all they're using it for is, what's up, man? You know what I'm saying? Like, we need you, with these youth. I don't know if y'all have noticed, but these children, boys and girls, not saying that we don't need the women because we absolutely do, but they respond differently to y'all men. I could ask my son to do something 5 times. His daddy can ask him 1 time. It is a difference. And so, anybody that is about the young adults, and when I say young adults, I mean 14 to 24.
Thank you. We have a final question as well.
I'm involved with young adults. I'm Mr. Jimmy. I'm a social studies teacher at Fulton Leadership Academy. One statement, I heard everybody respond to the scholars specifically say music. And the response was a dismissal of what the scholars said is influencing them. That was interesting. Because that's what they said is influencing them. That's what they said. So we can't dismiss what they're saying and try to treat the foot when the head said, my head hurts, right? So we can't give them what we want our solution to be. Listen to what they're saying. Because when I walk around the school, to your point, they don't walk around with TVs. They walk around with earpods. So they're listening to something. We were watching something because the culture of TV was a brand new thing. I would have never known what Scarface looked like. Any of these iconal, fictitious, and somewhat realistic characters with their over-embellished stories of glory and gander in the streets look like. I would have never known what they looked like. But us seeing it meant something to us. What they hear because of their lack of emotional IQ means way more to them than us. We have something to relate emotional IQ with because we've seen. They're just hearing. And they have to internalize and try to interpret what you're trying to say. So the question, what do we do intentionally as people? I'm a writer. I've written a song for years, had some minor success. I know that writing is very intentional. I know that writing is very, very intentional. What do we do to assure as a community that the music that is getting the popularity, that the music that the labels are deciding to promote because it strikes and resonates a certain signal, a certain response, a certain vibration? What do we do as a community, Dro? I'll address this to you. What responsibility do we have for what we are putting out? I heard you say, I write about my truth. Do we still allow in this time our truth to be is it even a necessary statement if we know they don't have the emotional IQ to process our truth?
Well, I seriously believe in my truth. I wouldn't be real to myself if I didn't tell you about my mom being shot 5 times. You know what I'm saying? I want you to know what happened to me in my hood. I want you to know what society let happen to me. I want you to know what area I grew up in. I want you to know how harmful it is from what's not given to me. You know, so for me not to tell you that means you're muting me also. You know, so I want to be able to express what I'm going through without a child actually stepping up to the plate and saying, I want to be like Tro. No, that's where the parenting comes in. Tro's just a rapper. He's speaking his truth. This is what he's been through. Son, you're more than that. I love you. This is not your end all. You don't have to be like Tro. I raised you to be a certain kind of way. You know, this is when I start to parent heart, you know, and it's just like watching a movie. You know, you cannot beat Arnold Schwarzenegger. You know, he killed a lot of people in that movie, but this is not who you are. You feel what I'm saying? So I don't want to mute him, and I don't want to mute myself either.
Yeah, I think we're running out of time here. Do you have a last comment that you would like to make?
Yeah. Well, first of all, I want to apologize to you all if you felt like we as the adults had overshadowed, you know, what you were saying. What I'm saying as a therapist is that it's more to it. That's what I'm saying. It's more to just the lyrics. It's deeper than that. And if he's walking down the hall, not saying this, baby, I'm just giving an example, but if he's walking down the hall and he's listening to, I don't listen to rap, so I don't know what. Let's say he's listening to Lil Baby. Well, did his mom bring him to school listening to Lil Baby? When he was at home doing homework, was she listening to Lil Baby? Is the mama practicing or the father practicing these same things? I can tell you a lot of homes, they do that. This is why they know about this type of music, and not in just hip hop. That's not the only genre. It's pop, rock. It's metal. They say a lot of different things, and these kids listen to it. But we have to go a little bit deeper as to what are you attracted to about that music. If somebody is on it and they say, I'm a kid, I'm gonna slash my throat with a razor. Somebody literally said that in Melon. What was it about that attracted you to it? So what I'm saying is we have to dig a little bit deeper to figure out the attraction. If we can mute 20 rappers if we want to. What about the rest of the genres? Or what about everything else that's being said? It's not just the music. So I'm not saying, you know, music don't play a part. I'm saying a lot of things play a part.
I think that's an excellent point. I think that we've all learned today that there are several components to gun violence, and we live in a violent society. And that's just a fact that you can get on social media and you're going to see something as soon as you leave here that sounds violent. You hear about what happened at Michigan State recently. You don't get to control how violence happens, but you get to control how you respond to violence. And so there are so many people up here, men and women, who are doing great work, and those of you in the audience who are doing great work as well. So I want to thank all the panelists for the students for being courageous, lending their voice. I want to thank Clark Atlanta University for hosting us. This has been an incredible panel. I hope you all have taken something away from this session. I hope that this has made you better. I hope that this has inspired you. I hope that this has made you want to continue to be a part of the solution of how we rid our communities of gun violence by listening to these fabulous people and these great minds in different capacities as well. So thank you to you all. We're going to close out this panel, and then we will have one more speaker to close out the rest of the day. So thank you all so much.
Panelists, if you all can stay, please, we'll take a final photo.
So, gentlemen, before you leave, quickly, again, I just want to say thank you for those of you who stayed to the end of the program. It's been a long day. It's been a very exciting day. I want to thank Dr. Satcher, Dr. Rosenberg, Dr. Mercy. You see they're still sitting here. What I heard this morning, what I heard just heard this afternoon, there's a lot of commonalities. I think Dr. Rosenberg said it as part of his presentation earlier this morning. We live in a cause and effect world. And when I heard you guys talking about this cause and effect, we can understand the cause. We can start putting together programs and addressing the issues to affect the cause. And so that's the common denominator. This is the beginning, okay? When we started this off, we said, I went through 6 objectives for today. The 6 objectives are in the program, system, symposium goals. The objective was not to accomplish all of them today. This is a start. Our nonviolence committee meets every second Thursday of the month at Flipper Temple, right down the street on Student Movement Boulevard, 6 o'clock every second Thursday of the month. We encourage any and all of you that really want to be a part of the solution going forward, because we can do this. I encourage you to come meet with us, join us. Okay, we are going to continue this effort. Thanks again for your participation. It's been a long day, but it's been a great day, and this is just the beginning.